Today I'm going to start with chapter 11. If you looked or watched the recap from the other day, Sam had just picked up that girl. They kind of explained their stories to one another, and that was it. Chapter 11 is titled Dead as a Doornail. We rumble along for at least an hour, making good progress. The smoke has thinned from the sky, and the smell is fainter by the minute. I'm getting more relaxed and confident behind the wheel. I've got this thing beat. I can do it. Hands at 10 and 2, like Dad showed me, and keep your eyes on the road. In this case, the rutted trail. On the lookout for any fallen trees or rocks, because if we break an axle, the Jeep is all done. When the trail straightens out, I ask Delphi where she's from. Westbrook. We have a Greek restaurant. It's on 302, Delphi's. And no, the restaurant isn't named after me. It's named after my grandmother, Adelphia, who started it. Cool. It is, mostly. The whole family works there. My mom and dad, aunts and uncles, cousins. Sounds like a big place. She nods. Started small, but now we seat 100. And 50 on Saturday nights. And that's the night I have to scrub pots. Ugh. I wonder what it must be like, being part of a big family. She makes it sound like fun, even if it does mean scrubbing pots. We settle in, putting miles between us and the fire. My passenger gets so relaxed she almost falls asleep, even though the ride is bumpy. With her head lolling and her eyelids drooping, she is faced clean, and her face cleaned of soot. Go, I'm reading. Delphi looks younger, a little girl in a big, tall body. Must be exhausted from her night in the woods. She hasn't really explained what she was doing out there, but she did say she ran her battery down texting someone. I wonder about that. Why go out in the woods to text? Didn't her camp counselors tell her it's dangerous to be wandering in the forests of Maine at night? Didn't they warn her about bears and coyotes and bobcats? Or how easy it is to get lost? After a while, she startles herself awake and goes, Sorry, where are we, Sam? See that little glove compartment? There's a map that might help. Are you good with maps? She looks uncertain. I've got a GPS app. Like that? Never mind. I'll check it out when we stop. Right now, all I know, we're heading mostly west. How do you know that? I point to the compass on the dash. Oh. I was wondering, maybe we can charge my phone from the car battery. I don't think so. It's not like you can just plug it in. She exhales and leans back into her seat. Disappointed. I really need my phone. I need to let my parents know what happened. They'll be worried sick. How far before we get to a real road? Don't know. Could be around the next corner. Could be miles. At that exact moment, the engine sputters and dies. The Jeep slows to a stop, dead as a doornail. Chapter 12, Not on This Map. After about 100 years of totally insane panic, okay, maybe 10 seconds, I realize what's wrong and start chuckling. Delphi has this look like, what have I gotten myself into? Until I explain that we've run out of gas. And why's that funny? Because I can fix it. I go around to the back where the 2 5-gallon fuel cans are strapped to the bumper. Delphi offers to help. My ankle hurts, but there's nothing wrong with my arms. She grins and makes a muscle. Turns out she's way stronger than me. Good thing, because the cans are really heavy. And the last thing I want to do is waste gas by spilling it. I unscrew the cap, and we both hold the can as we slowly tip it up, carefully pouring every drop of gas into the empty tank. And then we do it all again with the second can. 10 gallons. That should be good for 100 miles at least. Delphi's face falls. You think it's that far? A real road? Hope not. Let's look at the map, see if we can figure it out. I take the old map out of the glove box and unfold it on the hood. The air is hot and heavy, and although there's no strong smell of smoke, the air is still bad. So breathing is a chore. Sweat is running into my eyes, and I have to blink it away before I can see the map clearly. I'm disappointed it isn't like the trail maps Dad taught me how to read at Baxter State Park. At first, it looks like a bunch of squiggly green lines. The faded printing identifies it as a topographical survey, but I'm not sure what that means exactly. Delphi leans over the map, squinting her thoughtful brown eyes, and announces that the lines are marked for elevation. Elevation? I ask. How high above sea level? Sea? As she says that, the map suddenly makes sense. Like one of those trick puzzles that snap into place once you know the secret. The squiggly green lines trace the shape of land and lakes and mountains. The lines are close together where the mountains are steep, and far apart where the ground is flat, or where there's water. I lean over the map. Wabanowski Lake. My camp and your camp are on the same lake, right? If we can find it on the map, at least we'll know where we started. The printing is tiny and faded, but we eventually identify a long, skinny shape of the lake. There are no markings for the summer camps located on the shoreline, but the map is old, and maybe the camps were more recent. Or maybe they just didn't bother marking them down. Delphi must have really sharp eyes, because she's the one who spots the faint pencil lines. Could this be the logging road, she asks? The pencil markings run east and west across the map, following the lower elevations, the flat land. At one end, there's a smudged X, and the other end continues to the far edge of the map. Yeah, I think you're right. It makes sense if X is the lumber camp. So we'd be somewhere here. I place my finger on the smudged pencil line. So where does this connect to the main road? It doesn't. Not on this map. Delphi sighs, her round face concerned. We're really in trouble, aren't we? Yes. But if we stay ahead of the fire, we'll be okay. That's the main thing. Keep ahead of the fire. It's summer, so we're not going to die of exposure as long as we have water. And we have food for at least 5 or 6 days if we don't pig out. Delphi's eyes got even bigger. For real? You have food? I showed her the crates in the back seat. Beans, beef stew, franks and beans, spam, tuna fish. She picks up a can and makes a quirky face. Are you serious? Bread in a can? I nod. Brown bread, almost like cake. It's really good, especially with butter. Not that we have any butter. Huh, she looks over the collection. Lots of beans. Beans are nutritious. Besides, this is Maine. We practically invented the baked beans. For some reason, that makes Delphi laugh. Then she gets serious. Could you, open a can? I'm starving. You choose. I recommend the beef stew. We don't have spoons, so she sips beef stew right from the can as we drive along the logging trail, keeping a safe distance between us and the fire, at least for now. Chapter 13. Okay, for a boy. Turns out my passenger is pretty funny when she wants to be. We're bumping along, going maybe 10 miles an hour, and suddenly she shades her eyes with her hand and goes, "Slow down! I see the golden arches. Big Mac's dead ahead." For a tiny millisecond, I almost fall for it. Gotcha, she grins at me. No way. You totally believed me. You're good, I admit. Good enough for ice cream. I've been saving the last pint of chocolate chip. It's in the cooler in the back. Her eyes dart to the back, and I burst out laughing. She slumps in her seat. Great. I got away from fitness camp, but I can't get away from imaginary food. Fitness camp? They call it fitness because it sounds good, but at least half the girls are there to lose weight. Can I ask a question? Why were you out in the woods at night? No comment, and she won't say any more on the subject. But here's the thing. After making each other laugh, we're no longer strangers. We're not a team yet, me and Delphi Pappas, but we're getting there. Late in the day, with light fading through the green leaves and the smell of smoke ever more distant, we come upon a faded hand-painted sign nailed to a tree. Piney Pond Cottage. Walk from here. Delphi says, if somebody's home, maybe they've got a phone. I really, really want to talk to my mom. It's a footpath, I point out, too narrow for a vehicle. But Delphi leverages herself out of the seat, grabs the stick she's using for a crutch, and hobbles past the sign. I'm nervous about leaving the Jeep alone. It saved my life, and my guts tell me to stick with it until we're clear of the forest, clear of the fire. I can't outrun the fire, and for sure, Delphi can't. But I need a phone as much as she does to make sure my mom is okay and to get rescued. So I carefully park the Jeep in a cleared space near the sign. This must be where the owners leave their car or truck. And I follow her down the footpath. The path looks like it hasn't been used lately. The undergrowth is so thick with ferns that it's like a wall of soft green waves on either side. Delphi is limping along so fast I can hardly keep up, and I worry she'll trip and make her ankle worse. Wait up, take it easy. But she's real determined, crashing through the ferns and slashing her stick to clear the path, and then suddenly, we're in the clear. A meadow slopes down to a white cottage on the edge of the pond. There's a small rickety dock, but no boat, and the shutters on the cottage windows are closed. Nobody home is my guess, but Delphi is determined to find out for sure. A screened-in porch wraps around two sides of the cottage, and she's up the steps and into the porch before I get there. Darting around the old wicker furniture and peering through the glass on the front door into the dim interior. She rattles the doorknob. Locked. I don't think there's anyone here, I say. There'd be a car or truck in that spot, right? Sounding irritated, she turns to me. Okay, Sherlock Holmes. I get that. Nobody's home. Duh. But what if there's a phone charger in there? Or a landline? I take a step back. She's taller than me and holding a big stick. She notices my reaction and her face falls. Oh, hey. I'm sorry. I'm just, hot and miserable and obsessed about calling my parents. Okay? Delphi, I'm pretty sure there aren't any chargers in there. How do you know that? Look around. There are no power lines attached to the house. No telephone lines, no lines of any kind. She hobbles down the steps, looks at the roofline of the porch and cottage. Her shoulders slump. This is so messed up. There are a lot of places like this in the backwoods. Hunting cabins and getaway cottages that are too remote for power. That's stupid. I shrug, not so sure about that. Sort of like camping out, except for a real roof over your head. Summer only, I'm guessing, unless they come in by snowmobile. That lumber camp? It didn't have power either. I hate this, Delphi says, frustrated. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. No, this is good, I insist. This is a great find, even without a phone. We're far enough ahead of the fire that we can hardly smell it. And besides, we don't dare drive a logging trail after dark. Too easy to go off the road. So we need a place to stay for the night. The porch is good. The bugs won't be able to chomp on us. Plus we have chairs and couches and cushions. See? It's way better than sleeping in the Jeep. I'll go back for some food, and we'll have a nice supper right here on the porch. How about that? Delphi wipes her glistening face with the back of her hand. You're okay. For a boy. You know that? All right, 15 minutes right there. We're going to go ahead and stop. We will start chapter 14 next time. If I can find my mouse.